Imagine having so much money that you could buy a $320 million penthouse just for fun. That's the reality for some of Asia's richest. We're about to show you how the top 15 live, and it's nothing short of mind-blowing. Qin Yinglin. While some billionaires flaunt their wealth with flashy cars and private jets, our next Asian tycoon made his fortune in a much more down-to-earth industry: pig farming. Meet Qin Yinglin, the man who turned a small family farm into a pork empire worth billions. Qin's story isn't your typical rags to riches tale. He actually left a promising career in veterinary medicine to start his own pig farming business. It's not exactly the glamorous origin story you'd expect from someone with a net worth of $21.1 billion, but Qin's success proves that sometimes the path to wealth is paved with, well, pig manure. But don't let the humble beginnings fool you. Qin's company, Muyuan Foodstuff Company Limited, is now the world's largest pork producer. He's basically the king of bacon, the sultan of sausages, the emperor of ham. And in China, where pork is a staple food, that's a big deal. What's interesting about Qin's wealth is how volatile it can be. His net worth fluctuates more than a pig on a seesaw, often reflecting the ups and downs of the pork market. One day he's worth $20 billion, the next day it could be $30 billion. It's enough to give any financial advisor a heart attack. But here's the kicker. Despite his massive fortune, Qin isn't known for living large. No mega yachts, no private islands, no gold-plated pig pens. He keeps a relatively low profile, focusing more on his business than on showing off his wealth. It's almost like he didn't get the memo about how billionaires are supposed to act. Qin's success comes from his innovative approach to farming. He's not just raising pigs, he's revolutionizing the industry with modern techniques and technology. It's like he's running a Silicon Valley startup, but instead of apps, it's all about pork chops. His company has become so important that it's helping stabilize China's pork supply. When there's a shortage, Qin's there to bring home the bacon, literally. It's not often you can say a pig farmer is crucial to a nation's economy, but here we are. Zhang Zhidong, introducing Zhang Zhidong, the enigmatic co-founder of Tencent and China's hidden billionaire. You might not know his name, but chances are you've used one of his creations. WeChat QQ. Ring any bells? These aren't just apps, they're the lifeblood of China's digital ecosystem. And Zhang's the guy behind the curtain, pulling the strings. While his more famous co-founder, Pony Ma, basks in the limelight, Zhang's been quietly revolutionizing how over 1 billion people communicate, shop, and even pay for their morning coffee. It's like he's the Wizard of Oz if Oz were a tech empire worth hundreds of billions. But don't let his low profile fool you. Zhang's net worth is anything but modest. We're talking billions upon billions, enough to make your average millionaire feel like they're scrounging for change in their couch cushions. What's fascinating about Zhang is how he's managed to stay under the radar despite his massive wealth. No flashy cars, no outrageous mansions that we know of, no yacht parties with celebrities. It's almost like he didn't get the memo about how billionaires are supposed to behave. Instead, Zhang's been busy reinvesting his fortune into Tencent and other ventures. He's not just sitting on a pile of cash, he's using it to shape the future of technology. It's like he's playing chess while everyone else is still figuring out how to set up the board. But here's the kicker. Despite his crucial role in building one of the world's largest tech companies, Zhang remains a mystery. His investments, his real estate holdings, even his day-to-day life, it's all shrouded in secrecy. For all we know, he could be living in a secret underground lair, plotting his next tech revolution. In a world where billionaires often can't resist the urge to show off, Zhang's low-key approach is refreshing. He's proof that you don't need to be the loudest voice in the room to be the most influential. Sometimes the real power lies in the hands of those we can't see. Pang Kang. Have you ever wondered who's behind that bottle of soy sauce sitting in your kitchen? Meet Pang Kang, the man who turned a humble condiment into a multi-billion-dollar empire. As the chairman of Foshan Haitian Flavoring and Food, Pang isn't just in the sauce business. He's the undisputed king of soy sauce. We're talking about the largest producer of soy sauce in the world. That's right, the world. But Pang's company isn't a one-trick pony. They've got their fingers in many pots, quite literally. Oyster sauce, fermented bean curds, chicken essence, vinegar, you name it, they probably make it. It's like they're trying to take over your entire spice rack. Now, you might think that condiments are small potatoes in the world of big business. Think again. Under Pang's leadership, Foshan Haitian has been reporting some serious growth year after year. We're talking the kind of numbers that make Wall Street types sit up and take notice. But here's where things get interesting. Despite being one of the richest people in Asia, Pang Kang isn't exactly a household name. No flashy interviews, no outrageous purchases hitting the headlines. It's almost like he's trying to fly under the radar. Maybe he's taking lessons from our previous billionaire on how to keep a low profile. So what does a soy sauce tycoon do with all that cash? Your guess is as good as ours. While some billionaires can't resist showing off their latest yacht or private island, Pang seems content to let his company's success do the talking. No word on whether he has a swimming pool filled with soy sauce, but we wouldn't rule it out. In the end, Pang Kung's story shows that you don't need to be in a glamorous industry to make it big. Sometimes the path to billions is paved with, well, soy sauce. It just goes to show that in the world of Asian billionaires, fortunes can be made from the most unexpected places. Hui Kaiyan. Enter Hui Kaiyan, the man who built a property empire so vast it seemed unstoppable, until it wasn't. Hui's journey with Evergrande Group is like a roller coaster ride that went off the rails. He started small, but soon his company was gobbling up land and putting up buildings faster than you can say real estate bubble. At his peak, Hui was sitting pretty with a net worth that would make your head spin. We're talking buy a small country kind of money. But here's where things get interesting. Hui wasn't content with just building houses. Oh no, he wanted to build an empire. Evergrande expanded into electric cars, healthcare, and even theme parks. It's like he was playing Monopoly but with real money and real consequences. For a while it seemed like Hui had the Midas touch. Everything he touched turned to gold, or more accurately, cold hard cash. He was living large with all the toys you'd expect a billionaire to have. Private jets? Check. Luxury cars? You bet. Mansions that make Buckingham Palace look like a starter home? Absolutely. But as they say, what goes up must come down. And boy, did it come down hard. Evergrande's debt started piling up faster than a Jenga tower in an earthquake. Suddenly, the man who could buy anything couldn't pay his bills. It was like watching a financial car crash in slow motion. The stock market noticed, and Evergrande's shares took a nosedive. Hui's personal fortune went from buy a country to maybe buy a nice island practically overnight. It's a stark reminder that even the mightiest can fall. Despite the financial turmoil, Hui's still associated with opulence and high-profile investments. It's like he's the captain of a sinking ship, still dressed in his finest suit. Will he manage to turn things around, or is this the end of his real estate reign? Only time will tell. But one thing's for sure. In the world of Asian billionaires, fortunes can change faster than you can say foreclosure. Takemitsu Takizaki. Ever heard of Takemitsu Takizaki? Probably not, but chances are you've benefited from his work without even knowing it. Takizaki isn't just rich, he's the kind of wealthy that makes other billionaires look like they're operating a lemonade stand. But here's the kicker. He made his fortune from something most people have never even thought about. Sensors. Back in 1974, Takizaki founded Keyence Corporation. Now you might be thinking, sensors? Really? How boring. But hold on to your hats, because these aren't just any sensors. We're talking about the kind of tech that's revolutionizing industries left and right. Keyence isn't just making sensors, they're creating the eyes and ears of the automation world. Their products are used in everything from car manufacturing to food production. It's like Takizaki looked at the future and decided to build the nervous system for it. But here's where things get really interesting. Takizaki didn't just create a successful company, he turned it into a money-making machine. We're talking about a net worth estimated between $25, $30 billion. That's billion with a B. It's the kind of money that could buy a small country and still have change left over for a private island or two. And what's even more impressive is how Takizaki built his empire. He didn't follow the usual playbook. Instead of relying on distributors, Keyence sells directly to end users. It's a strategy that's paid off big time, making the company one of the most profitable in Japan. But here's the thing about Takizaki. For a guy with more money than some small nations, he keeps a pretty low profile. No flashy cars, no outrageous parties, no headlines about buying the world's most expensive whatever. It's almost like he didn't get the memo about how billionaires are supposed to act. Colin Huang. This is Colin Huang, the mastermind behind Pinduoduo, one of China's e-commerce giants. This isn't your average rags to riches story. It's more like code to riches. Huang's journey to billions started with a simple idea. Group buying. Imagine getting a discount on your favorite products just by teaming up with other buyers. That's the core of Pinduoduo's business model. It's like a digital version of bulk buying. But instead of filling your garage with toilet paper, you're scoring deals on everything from smartphones to fresh produce. The crazy part? Pinduoduo went from zero to hero faster than you can say add to cart. In just a few years, it became one of China's largest e-commerce platforms, with hundreds of millions of users. That's not just growth, that's hypergrowth on steroids. As Pinduoduo's stock price soared, so did Huang's net worth. We're talking billions upon billions, enough to make your average millionaire feel like they're playing with monopoly money. But here's where it gets interesting. Despite his massive wealth, Huang isn't exactly living large. No mega yachts, no private islands, no gold-plated anything. In fact, Huang's pretty much a mystery man. He keeps such a low profile that for all we know, he could be coding the next big thing from a secret underground lair. Or maybe he's just chilling at home, scrolling through Pinduoduo looking for deals like the rest of us. What we do know is that Huang's got a knack for successful ventures. Before Pinduoduo, he sold an e-commerce site called uku.com for a cool $2.2 million. That's like a warm-up lap in the billionaire race. He also dabbled in gaming, creating role-playing games for WeChat. It's like he's got the Midas touch, but instead of gold, everything he touches turns into successful tech companies. In the end, Huang's story proves that in the world of Asian billionaires, sometimes the biggest fortunes are built by the quietest players. Yang Huiyan. What if I told you that one of Asia's richest individuals didn't have to lift a finger to make her billions? Meet Yang Huiyan, China's wealthiest woman and living proof that sometimes it pays to be born into the right family. Yang's story isn't your typical rags to riches tale. It's more like riches to even more riches. Her father, Yang Guoqiang, founded Country Garden Holdings in 1992, and in 2007 he decided to hand over the keys to the kingdom. Well, not literal keys, but close enough. He transferred his shares to his daughter, making her the majority stakeholder overnight. Suddenly, Yang Huiyan found herself at the helm of one of China's largest real estate developers. It's like waking up one day and realizing you own half the monopoly board, but in real life. Country Garden Holdings isn't just building houses, they're shaping entire cities. They're the folks behind those massive residential projects you see popping up all over China. But don't think Yang's just sitting back and counting her cash. As the vice chairwoman of the board, she's got her hands full with wealth management and corporate strategy. It's not all glamorous parties and champagne wishes. She's actually calling the shots and steering this real estate behemoth. Now you might be thinking, great, another rich person hoarding their wealth. But hold your horses. Yang's actually doing some good with all that money. She's big on philanthropy, especially when it comes to education and public welfare. She's been throwing some serious cash at projects aimed at improving rural education and healthcare in China. It's like she's trying to level up the entire country, one donation at a time. So while Yang Huiyan might not have built her fortune from scratch, she's certainly not resting on her laurels. She's taking her inherited wealth and using it to shape China's skyline and its future. He Xiangjian. The name might sound weird to you, but not the man meet He Xiangjian, the man who turned a tiny workshop into a global appliance empire. Back in 1968, when most people were dreaming of flying cars, he was busy starting a small workshop making bottle lids and car parts. Not exactly the stuff of billionaire dreams, right? But he had bigger plans. He saw an opportunity in household appliances, and boy did he seize it. Fast forward a few decades and that little workshop has transformed into Midea Group, one of the world's largest appliance makers. We're talking air conditioners, refrigerators, washing machines. If it's in your home and it has a plug, there's a good chance Midea makes it. Now his fortune isn't just big, it's massive. We're talking billions upon billions, enough to make your average millionaire feel like they're playing with monopoly money. But unlike some billionaires who flaunt their wealth, his approach to business is all about innovation and efficiency. Under his leadership, Midea Group hasn't just grown. It's exploded onto the global stage. They're not content with just dominating the Chinese market. Oh no, Midea operates in more than 200 countries now. It's like he looked at a map and said, yeah, I'll take all of that. But here's the kicker. His success isn't just about selling a lot of appliances. It's about constantly pushing the boundaries of what those appliances can do. William Ding. Back in 1997, when most of us were still figuring out how to use email, Ding was busy laying the foundations for what would become one of China's biggest tech companies. NetEase started as an online services provider, but Ding had his eyes on a bigger prize, the booming world of online gaming. Fast forward a couple of decades, and NetEase has become a powerhouse in the gaming industry. We're not talking about small-time mobile games here. NetEase is behind some of China's most popular online games like Fantasy Westward Journey and Westward Journey Online. These aren't just games. They're virtual worlds where millions of players spend hours battling monsters, completing quests, and probably avoiding their real-life responsibilities. But Ding didn't stop at conquering the gaming world. He's also made some serious moves in e-commerce. NetEase's platform, Kaiola, has become a go-to spot for Chinese consumers looking to buy foreign goods. It's like he looked at the success of other e-commerce giants and said, yeah, I'll have some of that too. Now, you might think a tech billionaire would be all about showing off his wealth. Fancy cars, lavish parties, maybe a private island or two. But ding, he's more like a ghost. The man keeps such a low profile that for all we know, he could be living in a secret underwater lair, plotting his next tech revolution. What we do know is that Ding's got a knack for spotting the next big thing. He's made some pretty smart investments outside of NetEase, including stakes in companies like Tesla, Tadashi Yanai, secret behind Uniqlo, and a fashion empire that's made him the richest person in Japan. Yanai's story isn't your typical rags to riches tale. He started with his father's tailor shop and turned it into fast retailing, a company that's now worth billions. Uniqlo, the crown jewel of fast retailing, isn't just another clothing brand. It's a global phenomenon with about 2,500 stores worldwide. That's a lot of socks and t-shirts. But Yanai isn't just selling clothes, he's selling a lifestyle, and boy is he living it. With a net worth of $37.9 billion, Yanai's got more money than some small countries. But unlike some billionaires who flaunt their wealth, Yanai's approach to luxury is a bit more understated. Take his house, for example. Yanai lives in a $50 million home nestled in the woods just outside Tokyo. It's not exactly a humble abode, but it's not a gold-plated palace either. But don't think Yanai's skimping on real estate. He also owns a $74 million property in Tokyo's exclusive Shibuya neighborhood. Because when you're worth billions, why have one multi-million-dollar home when you can have two? But Yanai's not just about fancy houses, he's also got a thing for golf. And when you're this rich, why settle for a membership at the local country club? Yanai owns 2 golf courses in Hawaii. That's right, he bought the Plantation Golf Course for $50 million and Kaloa Bay for $24.1 million in 2010. It's like he's playing Monopoly but with real golf courses. And let's not forget about art. Yanai's got a collection that would make any museum jealous. He's known for hosting exhibitions and cultural events, and owns contemporary artwork by renowned artists like Jean-Michel Basquiat. Because when you've got billions, why not buy a few masterpieces to spruce up the walls? Li Ka-shing. While some billionaires flaunt their wealth with lavish lifestyles, others prefer a more modest approach. Enter Li Ka-shing, the man they call the Superman of Asian business. This guy's story reads like a Hollywood script, but instead of superpowers, he's got super business skills. Li started out as a poor refugee from China, fleeing to Hong Kong with barely a penny to his name. Fast forward a few decades, and he's sitting on a fortune worth $37.9 billion. That's enough money to buy a small country and still have change left over for a few private islands. But here's the kicker. Despite being one of the richest people in Asia, Li isn't exactly living large. While other billionaires are busy buying gold-plated toilets, Li's been spotted wearing a $50 Citizen watch. It's like he didn't get the memo about how billionaires are supposed to act. Don't let the simple lifestyle fool you, though. Li's business empire is anything but modest. He's got his fingers in more pies than a pastry chef. We're talking transportation, energy, real estate, retail, and even tech. His companies employ over 300,000 people in more than 50 countries. That's not just a business, that's a small nation. Li's investment strategy is all about diversification. It's like he looked at the business world and said, "I'll take one of everything, please." This approach has paid off big time, with his companies raking in annual revenues of $57.3 billion. That's billion with a B, folks. But here's where things get interesting. Despite his massive wealth, Li isn't content with just sitting on his pile of cash. He's known for his philanthropic activities, giving away billions to various causes. It's like he's trying to solve the world's problems, one hefty donation at a time. While Li may not be living in a golden palace, he's not exactly slumming it either. He owns a grand, luxurious, multi-million-dollar house in Deepwater Bay, Hong Kong's most exclusive area. But compared to some of his fellow billionaires, it's practically a humble abode. In the end, Li Ka-shing's story proves that you don't need to flash your cash to be a success. Sometimes the real superpower is knowing how to build an empire while keeping your feet on the ground, and maybe wearing a $50 watch while you're at it. Pony Ma. Speaking of shaping industries, our next billionaire has redefined how over 1 billion people communicate, shop, and even pay for their morning coffee. This is Pony Ma, the tech titan behind Tencent and one of Asia's richest individuals. While he might not have the flashiest public persona, his influence on China's tech landscape is undeniable. Ma co-founded Tencent back in 1998 when the internet was still finding its footing in China. Fast forward a couple of decades and Tencent has become a behemoth in the tech world. We're talking about the company behind WeChat, China's do-everything app that's basically become a necessity of daily life for hundreds of millions of users. But Ma's not content with just dominating the Chinese market. He's got his fingers in pies all around the world, with stakes in companies like Tesla, Spotify, and even Snapchat. It's like he's playing a global game of Monopoly, but instead of houses and hotels, he's collecting tech companies. Now, you might think a guy with this much money and power would be living it up, right? Private jets, mega yachts, maybe a gold-plated smartphone or two. But Ma's not your typical billionaire show-off. He keeps such a low profile that he's practically a ghost in the tech world. For all we know, he could be coding the next big thing from a secret underground lair. But don't let the low profile fool you. Ma's got some serious luxury hidden away. He owns a $290 million seaside villa on the southeastern tip of Hong Kong Island. That's not just a house. That's a small kingdom with an ocean view. And let's not forget the $61.9 million home he bought from shipping tycoon George Chow. Because when you're worth billions, why settle for one multi-million-dollar mansion when you can have two? When he's not reshaping the tech landscape, Ma's got a thing for art. He owns an impressive collection worth around $150 million. It's like he's trying to corner the market on both digital and physical assets. Talk about diversifying your portfolio. In the end, Pony Ma's story shows that in the world of Asian billionaires, sometimes the quietest players make the biggest waves. Jack Ma. This former English teacher turned tech mogul didn't just create a company, he revolutionized how China shops. Ma's journey from humble beginnings to billionaire status reads like a Silicon Valley fairy tale, but with a distinctly Chinese twist. Ma's creation, Alibaba, isn't just an e-commerce platform. It's a behemoth that's changed the face of retail in China and beyond. We're talking about a company that makes Amazon look like a corner store. And Ma? He's sitting pretty with a net worth of about $28.3 billion. That's enough to buy a small country and still have change left over for a few private islands. But Ma's not content with just being rich. He's got a taste for the finer things in life, and boy, does it show. His garage is like a luxury car showroom. We're talking a $50,000 Mercedes Maybach 62S, a $269,000 BMW 760 Li, and a $115,000 RX-5 S SUV. It's the kind of collection that would make any car enthusiast weep with envy. And when it comes to real estate, Ma doesn't do things by halves. He owns a $193 million bungalow in Hong Kong's most expensive neighborhood. Because when you're worth billions, why settle for a regular house? He's also got a $16 million 198-acre wine estate because apparently being a tech mogul and a wine connoisseur go hand in hand. But here's where things get really interesting. Ma's not content with just cruising around in luxury cars or sipping wine in his mansion. He's got his own private air fleet, including a $49.7 million Gulfstream 550 and a $70 million Gulfstream G650ER. And if that's not enough, he's also got a 290-foot-long Zen super yacht worth around $200 million. Because sometimes you just need to escape to the open sea, right? Despite all this luxury, Ma's known for leading a relatively humble lifestyle. It's like he didn't get the memo about how billionaires are supposed to act. Maybe that's why he's still a likable figure among the public. Zhong Shanshan. Have you heard of the man they call the Water King? This guy's not just rich. He's in a league of his own with a net worth that skyrocketed to $59.8 billion seemingly overnight. Zhong's path to riches wasn't paved with gold, it was filled with water bottles. As the founder and chairperson of Nongfu Spring, he turned a simple beverage company into a powerhouse that dominates China's bottled water market. But Zhong didn't stop there. He's also the majority owner of Beijing Wantai Biological Pharmacy Enterprise, because why settle for $1 billion company when you can have two? In 2020, Zhong pulled off a move that would make even the savviest Wall Street tycoons jealous. He took both Nongfu Spring and Beijing Wantai Biological Pharmacy public, and boom, his net worth exploded from a measly $1.89 billion to over $59 billion. Talk about making it rain. But here's where things get interesting. Despite having enough money to buy a small country, Zhong keeps such a low profile that he's earned the nickname the Lone Wolf. No flashy parties, no outrageous purchases hitting the headlines. It's like he didn't get the memo about how billionaires are supposed to act. That's not to say Zhong's living in a cardboard box. He's got a luxurious apartment in the Shihu district of Hangzhou, right next to the scenic West Lake. It's also conveniently close to Nongfu Spring's headquarters, because when you're worth billions, why waste time commuting? In the end, Zhong Shanshan's story proves that in the world of Asian billionaires, sometimes the biggest fortunes are built by the quietest players. Mukesh Ambani, although we've seen some impressive fortunes, but there's one man who stands above them all, reigning supreme as Asia's richest. Meet Mukesh Ambani, the man who turned his father's textile business into a $110.4 billion empire. This isn't just wealth. It's the kind of money that could buy a small country and still have change left over for a private space program. Ambani's not just rich, he's got his fingers in every pie imaginable. His company, Reliance Industries, is a behemoth that spans petrochemicals, oil, gas, telecommunications, and retail. It's like he looked at the business world and said, "I'll take one of everything, please." But let's talk about his home, because this isn't just a house, it's a statement. Antilia, Ambani's 27-story Mumbai residence, is valued at around $1 billion. That's right, billion with a B. This isn't just a home, it's a vertical city, with 3 helipads, a 160-car garage, a private movie theater, a swimming pool, and even a snow room. It's like Ambani decided to build his own luxury hotel and just live in it. And the extravagance doesn't stop there. When your net worth is in the billions, why settle for a regular private jet? Ambani gifted his wife a Boeing business jet for her birthday. It's got a living room, bedroom, office, and an expensive bathroom, because nothing says "I love you" like a flying mansion. But Ambani's not just about flashy toys, he's a serious player in the business world. He's got a dedicated floor in his residence for his collection of luxury cars, including Bentleys, Porsches, a Rolls-Royce Phantom, and a Beechcraft Cayenne. It's like he's running a car show in his own home. And when it comes to entertainment, Ambani doesn't do things by halves. He once paid $6.3 million for Rihanna to perform at his son's pre-wedding celebrations. Because when you're this rich, why settle for a wedding DJ? But it's not all play and no work. Ambani's also a sports enthusiast with some serious investments. He owns the IPL cricket team Mumbai Indians and holds a stake in the Football League Indian Super League.